Hello, this is Mr. Vaughn with video lesson 5.6 and 5.7. We're talking about graphing on the coordinate plane. So go ahead and get your Cornell notes set up, 2-column notes. You're going to definitely want to open up your packet to page 396 and then later on 405 so that you can copy down some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about. So if I was you, I would pause the video at this point and write down these vocabulary words on the side over here. And then you don't have to make a perfect looking coordinate plane like this, just something simple. Your lines don't have to be straight. One line going that way with arrows at the top and the bottom. These are just two number lines that cross. Set yours up. You don't have to have it out like 10, like the example there. Number these would be your positive numbers. These would be your negative numbers. And yours doesn't have to be too equal. Don't worry about that. Going up, these are positive numbers. And going down, these are negative numbers. So I would pause yours and do something that goes out like +5, -5, left to right, and top to bottom. All right, so hopefully you're all set up where you can listen and take notes as we go. So vocabulary words, first off, coordinate plane, that's what this thing is called. This is called a coordinate plane. All it is two number lines like we've been working with, one going this way and one going this way, and they intersect. These are called the x-axis and the y-axis. The x-axis, you can see it right here. That's the x-axis. It always runs horizontal, left to right. The y-axis is the number line that goes vertically up and down. So when we say x-axis, we mean this one. When we say y-axis, we mean this one. I'm going to go quick, so you can go back and check things out if you need to. Just like the number lines we were working with earlier in the chapter, you can set these up with whatever increments you want. This one is set up in increments of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so increments of 1. And they, in order to not crowd it too much, they've only labeled every other one. In your book, if you look, no, I gotta switch to it now. If you look at the number line or the coordinate grid right here, it is set up in increments of a half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So as long as all those increments are the same, you're fine. So don't think that just because you've got, I'm showing you a coordinate grid that goes up in increments of 1, that's all there is. So coordinate, x, y axis, quadrants. So we have quadrants, anything that has quad in it's going to have be 4, right? Quattro, quad runner, those kind of things. So we have 4 sections here. You know your Roman numerals, you might have seen it already. This is quadrant 1, and then it goes counterclockwise. Quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So this is 5 is V, and then 1 less than that would be 4, and then obviously this is 3. So those are the quadrants. Any dot, any spot that occurs in those quadrants, you can call it out by that name. So if I have a dot over here, that's in quadrant 1. Over here, this is quadrant 3. Or you might have an example of a teacher saying, okay, find me a plot on a coordinate plane, something in quadrant 2. So you'd go over here. That's what the quadrants are. I've already talked about x-axis and y-axis. So now let's talk about how to get the numbers on there. X always goes first. So if in this lesson, let's do a good one here. So my lines are a little bit off. It's a little bit fuzzy. So in lesson 5.6, they're going to give you the dots, they're going to give you the spots, and you have to call them something, you have to name it. So if they say, identify this spot on the coordinate plane, you go to X first, this is the X line, so you go down here, and it's a +2. So you say, and actually they usually name it by a letter, so A is at what spot? So it'll be 2, and then you do the y, which is 4. So you would write it like this: 2, 4. X always goes first, and then the y. Okay, so that's where dot A is. Point A is what they'll call it. All right, I'm going to leave that on there like that. Let's do one and another. Those are both positive numbers, and you'll notice everything in quadrant 1 is going to be positive because these are positive here, these are positive there. Get rid of that. Let's do something in the negatives. Let's go over to this side. So identify point B. Point B lines up with what along the x-axis? X is always first. So it lines up with, I'm following this down to here, just so you can see, lines up with -5. Even though it's not written on there, you know it's there. -5 is there because it's between -4 and -6. So you would write B is at -4. And on the y-axis, going over to here, it's at +1. Right. You notice I put parentheses around those, and that's how you'll see them almost always. And what else do I need to say about that? Oh, they're going to ask you like what quadrant it is. So identify where point A is and what quadrant it is. We've already identified it's at 2 and 4, and it's in quadrant, stay consistent, quadrant 1. Okay. And then B is at -4 and +1, and it's in quadrant 2. You can do it by Roman numerals or regular things. It doesn't really matter. Reflection is the next thing that's in the chapter, and that's on page 397. One spot over. And all of that is it's like you're graphing opposites. Okay, so let me just take one of these that we have here. The directions would be something like graph the reflection of point B. So here's point B, and what you do is you go, well, it'll say graph the reflection of point B over a certain axis. Over a certain axis. So let's graph point B over the y-axis. So I'm going to jump over the y-axis the same number of places that B is from the y-axis on the opposite side. So it's kind of like this opposite thing. That's why we taught you that early in the chapter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points that way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that way. I'm going to delete all those and put them back, but that's how I got there. Went too far. All right, so that would be here. That's the reflection of point B across the y-axis. Okay, I can also graph the reflection of point B across the x-axis. So we're going to jump like this way. Before we jumped that way, now we're going to jump across the x-axis. So how many points away from the x-axis is B? It's 1. So we'll go down 1. And we'll call that point D. All right? Hopefully makes some sense. The whole thing's called the coordinate plane, divided into 4 quadrants. X-axis goes horizontal, y-axis goes vertical. The reflection will be called out across a certain axis, and you just go the same number of places across that axis to the opposite side. So that is all 396. If you go to 404, I actually called it 405. This should be 404 up at the top, right here. I'll change that for your official notes, but that should be 404. Lesson 5.7 is not too much different at all. They just give you the coordinates, and then you have to graph it. So we'll go a whole another set. I'll do some of the examples at the bottom of 404. So P is -2 and 4. You see they've given you the coordinates and they want you to put it on there. All right, so if you want to pause the video and see if you can find point P all by yourself at the bottom of page 404, that would be great. And actually, why don't you see if you can do Q also. All right, so pause it, see if you can find those. You're doing it in pencil, so you can erase it. Come on back. All right, so where's point P? We said that the numbers are always x and y. So x goes first, and then y. So this is at -2 on the x-axis. So I'm going to go 1, 2 on the x-axis, and then it's at 4 positive 4 along the y-axis. So I got a positive 4 here and a negative 2 there. And wherever they intersect, you can't see it, but I'm pointing to it. I'm going this way and this way. Where they intersect, that's where the point is. So I'm going to get rid of all that stuff. So I went to negative 2 and went up to 4 there. And then you just label it as point P. And just for fun, what coordinate is that in? I already tell you, it's in quadrant 2, right there. I'm erasing this so we can color coordinate. One in blue and one in red. So zeros are oftentimes confusing when they're asked to graph it, but just follow the rule. It's 0 on the x-axis, so I'm on the x-axis right here, and I go to, I lost my eraser, there it is. Go to 0, park myself right here at 0, and then I'm going to go to negative 4 on the y-axis. So down 4, there it is right there. That is point Q. All right. Oh, and this is a good opportunity when you're naming quadrants and something is on the axis, either the y-axis or the x-axis. This would be there's none, no quadrant. It is not on any quadrant, and P, I'm sure you got, is on quadrant 2. Let me double check to see if there's anything else I wanted to tell you guys, but I think that is it. Yeah, so graphing. You'll either be asked to identify where the points are or put the points on yourself. And then at some point also they'll ask you to connect those dots and make shapes with them too, which is kind of fun. All right, I will see you tomorrow and copy down those notes. I'm not going to collect any of the pages, just be checking your notes. Bye.